So the Sega Dreamcast is one of my favorite consoles of all time. Now, admittedly, it's one that I didn't actually own as a kid, but I've since acquired as an adult, and I've had nothing but great times with it. So in today's video, I'd like to share with you my entire Sega Dreamcast game collection, 46 games. There are a lot of heavy hitters in this pile, and I'll have some recommendations for you as well with ones that I think you should be picking up to play. With that said, I can't wait to share this video with you, so let's get to it. Okay, so I mentioned previously that I never owned a Sega Dreamcast as a kid. The thing is, though, my good friends down the street had one, and I used to go to their house all the time after school and play it. So I spent a lot of time with the Dreamcast as a kid, and I have a lot of fond memories playing it with my friends in high school. That said, though, a lot of my memories are focused around that nostalgia factor, and I think that's why I look so fondly on this system. It just has such a great collection of games. It really was ahead of its time with respect to the type of content it was putting out. A lot of the games still hold up today. So that said, the first game we'll be talking about, Alone in the Dark. So this is a survival horror sort of game. I haven't played too much of it, but it feels like a lot like a Resident Evil sort of game where you're going around through a dark mansion. You've got a flashlight, a knife, a handgun, and you're really trying to solve the mystery of kind of what's going on. What am I doing here? How do I get out? I know they made a few different ports of this game. I think most notably there's one on GameCube Color or GameCube Advance, something like that. But again, I've not played it yet. I look forward to playing it very soon. If you have played Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, please be sure to let me know. I'm curious if it's any good. Next up, we have a shoot 'em up game. This is called Bangai-O. So this one's pretty interesting. It's a lot like a Gundam Wing sort of mech game where you basically control a mech and you're flying through the different levels. You're blasting things. It has bullet hell style elements to it. Now, this one has become more collectible in recent years. I think I actually had to pay a premium for this one to acquire it. It's one that you just really don't see in stores that often. So it's floating above the $100 mark now, but I've had a lot of fun with this one. It's really cool to have your missiles explode on the screen and take out your whole squad of enemies. A lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to playing this one more as well. Next, we have a game called Blue Stinger. So I've played a little bit of this one. I haven't gotten too far in it, maybe like 6 hours into it. But the whole premise is you're on basically like an island that was like a research island, and it looks like stuff just starts going awry. Um, it's got again that sort of Resident Evil sort of feel to it, but I think what's happening instead are that like dinosaurs have kind of come back to life in like a Jurassic Park sort of thing. Survive the terror of Dinosaur Island. Awakening shipwrecked just after a meteor collides the remote biotech research island, you begin to discover an uncontrollable madness unleashed in the meteor's wake. As one secret uncovers another, you piece together a horrifying revelation that could lead to the end of life on Earth. Wow. Yeah, I haven't gotten too far into it, but I do look forward to playing this one more and going back into it. I did have a lot of fun with it a little bit I did play. Here's the game. This is arguably the hardest game to acquire, at least the most valuable one on the Sega Dreamcast. This is called Cannon Spike. Now, I want to call it a twin stick shooter, but that's a misnomer because the Dreamcast controller does not have two sticks, just has the left thumbstick. So it plays a lot like a twin stick shooter, but you really would benefit from playing more if you had that right thumbstick as well to play. But basically, you're just running around, you're controlling your gun and the firing in one direction while trying to zoom in and out of enemies, kind of like in the style of a Smash TV game or a Xenocrisis game. Capcom put this out, and I have seen some of the characters appear in later iterations of games, such as Marvel vs. Capcom or series like that. So this is a really fun one. It's highly sought after, and if you can get yourself a copy or at least find a way to play it, I definitely recommend that. Speaking of Capcom, here is Capcom versus SNK. So this is a fighting game. You basically have all the different SNK characters from games like the King of Fighters series fighting off against some of the Capcom characters, so think Street Fighter and other games like that. This is a lot of fun. Admittedly, I'm not too good at it. I tend to just mash buttons and get my butt kicked by the computer. But I really do enjoy these games. I love the later games that they did with the Marvel versus Capcom spinoffs. There are other Capcom versus SNK games that are out there on other consoles as well, like the Wii, that I want to get. But these are a lot of fun. I'm just not good at them. And I talked about Dreamcast having some really unique games. Here's another great example. So this is called Choo Choo Rocket. The best way I can explain this is it's kind of like a insane spin on Bomberman. So basically, you got these little mouses and they're traveling certain ways, and there's bombs on the screen, and you basically have to try to lay down different points on the map to kind of redirect traffic and get things to come into your zone so you score up a number of points. And there's a lot of different maps and a lot of different ways that the game can play out. It gets to be a little bit chaotic. Now, this game really shines in the multiplayer aspect. So you have a few buddies that can come over, especially the four-player multiplayer events. You can have a lot of crazy nights with this one too. So it's a fun one to check out. It's still relatively inexpensive, last I checked. So if you have a Dreamcast, definitely worth checking out. Next is a game that needs no introduction, Crazy Taxi. I don't know a single person that has not heard of or at least played or at least heard of Crazy Taxi. This game is phenomenal. It was originally an arcade game that got ported over to the Sega Dreamcast. It's since been ported over to other consoles like the PlayStation 2, I believe the GameCube. But basically just arcade racing sort of taxi fun. Just pick up riders, take them from point A to point B, get money for delivering them in a certain amount of time. The faster you are, the more bonuses you get. And then there are bonuses for crazy things like weaving in and out of traffic, near misses, going over stunt jumps, etc. I had a lot of fun with this. For the longest time, when I would think of Sega Dreamcast, this game would be the first one that would pop to mind. And again, that was because this was the only place you could play it for a little bit until it got ported over to their systems. Absolutely fun game. Highly recommend Crazy Taxi if you've never played it. And now they also made a sequel called Crazy Taxi 2. And I thought I had played it and spent time with it, but actually, when I was capturing the game footage here, I realized I've never played this one before. Or if I have played it, I haven't played much of it. So something about this one, I wasn't feeling it as much as the first Crazy Taxi. It's a lot of the same sort of gameplay elements, but they did add in some new things like challenges. What was really cool about this is there's some challenges where you can go down a really steep hill and launch your taxi car off of the ramp, and you're trying to land a certain distance or knock over bowling pins or whatever random stuff they have going on. I actually had a lot more fun with that in this game, the challenges, than I did actually driving and taking passengers from point A to point B. I need to give it a little bit more time to give it a more fair assessment, but so far I prefer the original Crazy Taxi. Curious to know if you've played Crazy Taxi 1 and 2, and if so, which one you like more. Next, this game has been highly sought after in recent years. It's been creeping up in price. It's harder and harder to find. This is D2. So funny story about this. So this game I actually bought from GameStop online several years ago. So back in about 2017, 2018, around that time, this is before there was the GameStop Retro that we know now. You could go on GameStop's website and they would have a retro section, and they had things like Dreamcast games, PlayStation 1 and 64, etc. And it was hit or miss what you would find. And you're also taking a risk when buying it. So for example, you could buy something, it might come complete in box, it might come disc only. You just never know or never knew what you would get. A good number of games in this collection I acquired at that time from GameStop. And some of them I'll tell you which ones I got lucky on and which ones I didn't. D2 is one where I only got the discs. And I spent several years trying to acquire the case and the manual for it. I was scouring the internet looking for it. It was so hard to find. There just weren't any available. So I found one. I either found it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay. I can't remember. But I ended up basically having to buy that to complete my copy. Now, this game, I believe, is the successor to a game that originated on the Sega Saturn. Might even been a 3DO game. Don't quote me on that, though. It's again a survival horror sort of game. I haven't played too much of it because the controls are a little bit clunky. They don't really hold up. I've got sort of that tank feeling today. But I've heard great things about this game. I do want to go and spend some time with it and play it. It's 4 CDs long, so I feel like I'm going to get my money's worth out of this game. But definitely looking forward to checking that out at some point. Next, this is a pretty fun fighting game called Dead or Alive 2. So this is a lot like the Virtual Fighter series. I really like this because, you can, the levels will change as you fight. It's very interactive. You've got things like you can knock someone off a balcony, then jump down the balcony after them. And then there's the whole thing. If you throw them off the map, you can win that way by default. So I really like this game. I'm not as familiar with the characters, the stories. I do plan on playing through it in a story mode and just getting more of the backstory of what's going on because I have a lot of the other Dead or Alive games on other consoles. But it's a lot of fun. And in terms of fighting games, this is one of the ones that I prefer to play over some of the others. Like I mentioned Capcom versus SNK earlier, and I just wasn't really feeling it. I think a lot of that's because I'm not as familiar with the King of Fighters SNK sort of characters. Dead or Alive characters, I'm not saying I'm more familiar with them, but I feel more comfortable playing with them. So I tend to have a little bit more fun with this game. Here's a game that was originally put out on the Sega Genesis, and then this is a sequel follow up to it. So this is Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future. So I hadn't really played Echo the Dolphin all that much. I think I had cousins that had it as a kid, and I would watch them play it, or I played a few minutes of it. This one here is pretty interesting because you're basically playing as Echo and you're diving through the water and you can use your sonar sounds to try to find other things on the map or other dolphins. And it's really cool what they did here. And, for a GameCube, I'm sorry, for a Dreamcast game, it looks beautiful. Like swimming underwater, seeing the coral, seeing the other fish, whales, etc. It's really fun to experience and explore. So I haven't gotten too deep into this game, so I'm not really sure where it goes story wise, but it had a pretty fun time playing it the little bit that I did play of it. Next up, a game called Hydro Thunder. This is a lot of fun. So it's an arcade racing sort of game, but you're on boats, kind of like not an Evercade. What's those things called? The things in the Everglade, a hovercraft sort of boat, just traversing through the seas and racing. It's got a wave race feel and vibe to it. Things can get pretty crazy throughout the gameplay. You can get certain like missiles and weapons to shoot at your enemies. It's a lot of fun. I feel like the controls are a little bit sensitive on the GameCube. They also made a PC version that I have as well. It's pretty fun to play too, but it's a fun game. I feel like this one probably flew under the radar some and got a little bit overlooked because around that time you saw the popularity of games like Mario Kart 64 on Nintendo 64, and you had some other games out there at the time. But I really have a lot of fun with Hydro Thunder, and I think it's a great game. I think it's one that's probably been pretty overlooked over the last few years. So here's another game I got from GameStop. This is Jet Grind Radio. This one also came disc only, and I had to buy the case and manual. Took me a few years to actually find it at the right price, but I was able to get it. This game's a lot of fun. I actually originally played this series on the Xbox. There was a collection that came out where it was 2 discs, and this was one of the ones that was included. So I played it a lot over there. In terms of this Dreamcast version, I had a little bit of trouble getting into it. So what I mean by that is I would start like a mission and I would race through an area where I thought I was supposed to go, but the map would kind of just like cut off and I would like die and have to respawn somewhere. So I don't really understand what was going on with that. I'll have to go back and try it some more to see what's happening. But this is one of those iconic games that I want to say like define the generation in terms of this generation of consoles. This was one of the powerhouse games that came with the Dreamcast around the launch time. So a lot of people played it, loved it, and it was doing something that hadn't been done before in video games. So the whole skating around and tagging things with spray paint and all of that stuff. So a lot of fun, a lot of nostalgia packed into this game as well. Okay, the next few are also heavy hitters. So here's the first one. This is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is a fighting game, and if you have Xbox Game Pass or some of the more recent consoles, you'll see that they released a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure R Superstars or something title that it's basically an arcade fighting game just like this. This game, I believe, is based off of a manga series I'm not too familiar with, and it's pretty weird. Like, you'll play as a character, and then you can kind of like superimpose yourself as either a ghost or a wraith or something, and punch your enemy with like a shadow version of yourself and come back into your full form. I feel like it takes a lot of time and commitment to become familiar with the play style and especially become more familiar with the characters that you want to use throughout the game. So for me, I mean, it's one of those games where I'm just not good at it. I appreciate the art style. I appreciate how this game is out there. It's quirky. It's weird. I think that's also too why it's one of the more sought after games on the GameCube. I don't think it sold very well. I don't think many people knew about it because of the tie-in to the manga that presumably people just have never heard of. So it's one that has become again more highly collectible throughout the recent years. It's pretty fun. I'm just not good at it. And another heavy hitter I mentioned. So this is Mars Matrix. This is a shoot 'em up game. It is a bullet hell style game. So funny story about this one. I had heard about this first, I believe, on a Metal Jesus video several years ago, and I'd been looking for it. This is the single hardest game to find I have ever encountered among the games in my collection. So this one, I've never seen it in a store. You search online for it, it's never available. So literally, this came available like one time on eBay, and it was some crazy price. I just pulled the trigger on it because, again, I have never seen it for sale. Like the availability of this game is so slim, it is so hard to find. I had to grab it when I had the opportunity. So it's a lot of fun. I haven't gotten too far into it, but again, you see on the footage the bullets just coming at you from everywhere, and you're zigzagging in and out. And you're trying to make it through the levels. It is a lot of fun. The soundtrack is pretty great. I'm looking forward to spending some more time with this one and hopefully beating it sometime soon. So here is the only game in my collection that I still have a loose copy of. I haven't yet, completed it with the case and the manual. It's ironic because it's a really common game. It'd be really easy to do. I just haven't done it yet. This is NFL 2K. And this is actually, I have two copies. I have one that says not for resale at the bottom. This one doesn't say that. I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to actually keep. But NFL 2K, again, remember, Madden existed back in the day, but Madden back then was not what Madden is today. So you had a lot of different competition for football games. And Sega came out hard with the NFL 2K series. And this was a lot of fun. I remember, again, playing at my friend's house after high school, and we'd play this game. I can't remember if it was this game or if it was like Madden 2001. One of these games, we actually got to a point where we weren't even actually playing the game anymore. We were trying to set up plays where you could actually tackle the referee on the sideline. And we did it. I can't remember again if it was this or Madden, but it was a lot of fun doing that. It was hilarious when you finally pulled it off. Now, in terms of football play, it's what you would expect. You got the same basic controls that you would know and expect today, but we had a lot of fun with it back then. It's still fun today, but if you're looking for a more modern football game, you might not want to play this one. Here's a game I picked up many years ago. It's called Ooga Booga. So I actually had never played this until I captured the game footage for this. And I was kind of surprised. It's kind of like a battle royale style game where you're running around the map and you can knock skulls, shrunken skulls off of trees and then throw them at your enemies and you rack up points that way. And then basically at the end of 3 minutes or 5 minutes or however long a round is, the winner with the most points is declared. The team member with the most points, the player with the most points is declared the winner. So yeah, it's a quirky game. The characters are really like interesting. Like you got some skinny dudes with funny names, you got some fat dudes with funny names. They're different colors and what have you. In terms of story, I have no idea where the story goes or comes from, but battle royale style game. I imagine if you had a bunch of friends over and played it, it wouldn't be too bad of a time. Now, speaking of multiplayer games that were a lot of fun, Power Stone. And Power Stone's actually become more highly sought after in recent years. But Power Stone is one of those games that was sort of Sega's answer to Super Smash Brothers. And again, you'll see from the footage here, a lot of this game, the whole premise is, four-player action, fighting it out. And what was interesting about this is that there were different stones, power stones, locate on the map. And once the character collected all three of the power stones, they were able to utilize like a special finisher move that could just annihilate your opponents. It wasn't like a one hit kill sort of thing, but it was just an extremely powerful attack. So you had all sorts of mayhem on the map, just running around, beating your opponents, trying to collect these stones, and then go ham on them. So spent a lot of time with this after school with the buddies. And then also the follow up game, Power Stone 2, which actually Power Stone 2 took everything Power Stone 1 did well and just did it better. You have better maps, you have better like multiplayer action, better arcade style, better storytelling, better everything. So Power Stone 1 and 2, they've become highly sought after in recent years. The price keeps ticking up because again, you can't play them anywhere else. They weren't released for other systems. Definitely check these games out if you're not familiar with Power Stone, or if you're looking for something that's sort of an alternative to Super Smash Brothers. Here's a game that I believe everyone's at least heard of, if not played at some point. This is Quake 3 Arena. This game, playing it today, it's got that boomer shooter feel to it. The controls, man, I was having trouble playing this today because the controls were just overly sensitive. You had inverted controllers and stuff too. Just trying to warm up and get my feet wet with the game, I got killed a lot by the computer, just getting the hang of things. And then once I started hitting my stride, you'll see in the footage here, I started really kicking the computer's butt. So this is the type of game where, again, you'd have LAN parties back in the day. You'd have, a basement full of people playing on different TVs. And this stuff kind of embodies the late 90s in terms of video games and having fun in sort of a party mode with friends. Fragging people, killing people in the game, throwing the grenades, etc. A lot of smack talk going down. So this was a great game back in the day. It kind of holds up today. I mean, if you're looking for something fun that's playable and nostalgic, yes, it holds up. I think you might have better luck playing maybe a Duke Nukem game from the same time period, but still a lot of fun today. Here's a game that I've owned for a while, but I actually only played when I was collecting this game footage. This is Rayman 2. And this one actually surprised me because it played so differently from the other Rayman games that I've played thus far. The Rayman games that I've played have been more of the 2.5D sort of graphic style of game. This was like a full-on 3D game. And this actually had a lot of different like story elements and characters talking. I don't really remember that all that much in the other 2.5D Rayman games that I've played. So I was really surprised with this. I'm looking forward to playing more of this. And again, this is Ubisoft before Ubisoft just started putting out cookie cutter sort of games. So this really kind of stands out in my mind as something that I'd like to go back and re-experience or re-explore today. Here's a game that I've always had a fun time with. I just love the creativity in this. This is Revolt. So basically you're playing as little, what are those things called? Race cars, RC cars that race throughout the map. You go through all sorts of different levels, like a garden, a backyard. You can go through like a supermarket. So much fun. And I mean, you're just racing around. There's all these jumps and ramps. It really reminds me of the movie Toy Story, and especially at the very end when you're riding on the RC car trying to catch up to the moving van. It feels like that, but just every single race, every single level, it feels like that, just on loop. Not to say that it gets like stale, because I don't really think it does, but it's just a lot of fun. And I had a great time with this. I think it's also on the Nintendo 64, maybe even the PlayStation 1. But the Dreamcast is the only place where I've really spent a lot of time with it. And then another game that received multiple ports, Ready to Rumble Boxing. Now, I had a lot of fun with this game too. Admittedly, I'm not that good at it, but the whole thing about collecting the Rumble and then leveling up and going, Rumble, and then doing the special moves on your opponent, a lot of fun. And again, we're talking about games around that time, 1998, 99, 2000. This kind of embodied that time. And this was a great boxing game. This is around a time when boxing games weren't really that good. And the UFC wasn't nearly as popular as it is today. Like, sure, there were fighters like Ken Shamrock who came and went in the mid 90s, and it was starting to pick up steam, but it wasn't at all the attraction it is today. So when this came out, this was something that really got our attention and was a game that you actually wanted to play as an alternative to like a traditional arcade style fighting game. Next, we have a game that no one has heard about. Resident Evil 2. That was sarcasm, by the way. Resident Evil 2, this one is actually inched up really high in price on the Dreamcast. It's one of the ones that, again, I bought from GameStop online, disc only. Took me forever to find the case and the manual with it, but I actually did. And I haven't played too much of this version because I actually played the remaster on PlayStation 4 several years ago. So I don't really feel the need to go back and play this one. Maybe I will, just because. But the little bit I did play trying to catch this game footage, it definitely felt like tank controls. It felt like it was hard to maneuver around. I feel like I would die a lot if I was going to try to play this seriously and actually get through the game and beat it. So who knows? Time will tell if I actually play it or not. But Resident Evil 2. I mean, if you haven't heard of Resident Evil 2, I imagine probably have lived under a rock for the last few years. Another Resident Evil game. This is Resident Evil Code Veronica. So I actually have not played this one, but I own some of the ports of this on, I think, the Xbox 360. I've got a digital copy on my Xbox One that I plan on playing it over there, mainly because I want to get the achievements. I'm one of those types where if I'm going to play the game, I want to get some sort of like credit for the work I put in. So it's nice to get the trophies on PlayStation, the achievements on Xbox. That's another reason too why if you see some of my Switch videos, some of my Switch games are still sealed because they have ports on other systems where you can actually cash in on collecting trophies for beating parts of the game. So I'll play this eventually. I'll play it on the Xbox, and I'm looking forward to it. I've heard good things about this game. Here's another one that was just a very interesting one. They've since made remasters of this on the Nintendo Switch, but at the time, this is the only place you could play it. This is Samba de Amigo. Now, this is a arcade sort of rhythm game. So you're playing bongos and you're supposed to like play along to the beat, and you got maracas and stuff you shake. I actually don't have that special controller that goes with this. I just have to play it on my Dreamcast controller. But this game's a lot of fun. And I imagine, too, if you had a group of friends over and made a sort of a party out of this, you could have a lot of fun with a group of friends, too, with this game. Now, here's another game where, this has only been done on the Dreamcast. This, again, is showing how Sega and the Dreamcast are taking big risks. This is Seaman. Now, this game is absolutely bonkers. Basically, it starts out with you've got a fish tank. There's like an egg. You got to put the egg in, and you got to control different elements of your tank, from the oxygen that comes in to the heat, the lighting, how much you feed it, etc. And eventually you've got this tadpole that's got a human face on it. I've played this once many years ago with a friend, and my friend was able to go through with me and basically get to the end where your tadpole becomes like more or less a frog type human that jumps and escapes out of the aquarium, and who knows what happens from there. Me playing through on my own to catch this footage, I wasn't able to get very far. Like, this game is notoriously challenging in that it doesn't tell you at all what to do. I didn't really feel like going on the internet and looking up what I should be doing, or like what heat setting or oxygen setting I should be putting in the tank to make this thing hatch. So I apologize that the footage here is garbage, but the game was interesting in that it really required you to kind of do work to manage this aquarium to make this thing grow and live. Kind of like a Tamagotchi, but more complex. It was interesting. It's like if you turn the game off and then turned it back on, it read the date and timestamp within your power console of the Dreamcast. So you could say like, welcome back. It's been 7 days since you've last checked in, blah, 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 blah. Your seaman has died due to not having eaten food or whatever. Weird stuff like that would go on. So, yeah, this game, there's nothing like it out there today. Nothing I've ever played in this league of type of game. But really, again, shows how Sega's willing to take risks and put themselves out there and just throw paint at the wall and see what sticks. Next up, we have a game called Sega Bass Fishing. So, haven't spent too much time with this, but it's what you'd expect. It's an arcade fishing game. You're on a boat and you're out at the sea and you're throwing out your line, trying to get fish to bite, and you get ranked based on the weight or the size of your fish. Pretty basic stuff, but pretty fun if you have the reel and stuff too with it, which I don't have. I'm just playing on the controller, but it's a good time. Next, a game called Sega GTs. This is just a standard racing game. Dare I say it's kind of generic. I mean, at this point in time, there were so many great racing games that were coming out. The Gran Turismo series most notably comes to mind as one that was just blazing out there. I want to say Ridge Racer was pretty hot. Need for Speed was starting to gain traction. So something like this, a generic Sega GT, just really flew under the radar. Um, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with this one, but is what it is. Next, we have Sega Marine Fishing. Again, it's another fishing game, just like the previous one I talked about, the Sega Bass Fishing, arcade style fishing games. This one was kind of funny because, the characters and all you could pick and choose from and them sitting in the boat. Kind of quirky. They try to put some story in here, but fishing. And here's a game I've owned for a long time. This is one that I bought from GameStop. This is Sega Smash Pack Volume 1. This came to me complete in box. This one I actually sat on and didn't play for many, many years until I was collecting this game footage. And it surprised me because it has all of these different games from previous Sega consoles on here. So, for example, it's got Sonic the Hedgehog, Golden Axe, Shining Force, Wrestle War, Streets of Rage 2, Columns, Virtua Cop 2, Vector Man, Phantasy Star 2, Altered Beast, Revenge of Shinobi, and Sega Swirl. Now, for this game footage, I played the Virtua Cop 2 game, which, again, that's a Sega Saturn game, and they put it right here on this compilation. So I was surprised by that in a pleasant way, and I know that they made other Sega Smash packs like this. It makes me want to go back now and see what else is out there and get the other ones. But pleasantly surprised by this. Surprised I sat on it for so long and never actually booted it up. Next, one of the games again that was iconic for the Sega Dreamcast for the longest time was a Sega Dreamcast exclusive. Has since been ported to multiple systems. You could play it on modern consoles. But this is Shenmue. Shenmue was so interesting in that it was like the first time in a game you could control the character through normal life, but then have interactions with people that would lead to battles, like a thug in the street, giving you lip and you gotta tune him up or, block his kick, block his knife and elbow him in the face. It was a lot of fun, honestly. It has RPG elements where you can level up different moves of your character as you progress through the game. And there's this whole mystery of who killed your father and how do you solve what happened. I had a lot of fun with this. Now, admittedly, I played this game on PlayStation 4, where I have the Shenmue 1 and 2 pack together. I almost got a platinum trophy on this. That's how much time I put into this and how much I really enjoyed just kind of exploring the environment. It might play a little bit slower today. If you're looking for a fast-paced game, this is not it. It's more of a meandering sort of take your time kind of game. But I had a lot of fun with it too. And I think if you're looking for something different, give Shenmue a look as well. Here's one where I got extremely lucky with GameCube, just taking a stab in the dark, and I got a complete in box copy. Skies of Arcadia. So again, this was also a game, Dreamcast exclusive, but then it was ported over to the GameCube. It's a lot of fun. So basically, you're a pirate, but you're a pirate in the skies. So think of Super Mario World, how Bowser has a ship that flies in the air. Same premise here. You're all flying in the air on ships. You can shoot cannons and all this stuff, but you're a pirate basically fighting against a corrupt government. And you go through different worlds and levels of the map, and you're exploring, and it's got RPG elements. It's got a fighting style similar to the Final Fantasy games around that time. So turn-based sort of combat. But it's really fun in that you can level up your characters, you can change the weapons, you can choose who you want to take into battle. It's got a lot of replayability. Now, this game, I almost beat it. I think I got to the very end, and I forget what happened to me. Either there's a part where I just was confused on what to do, or I honestly can't remember why I didn't finish it. But I know I'm so close to polishing it off. I think I'll boot it back up and just knock it off and see what happens for the ending of it. Here's a launch title for the Dreamcast. This is Sonic Adventure. Now, I think you can currently get this game on Steam, if I'm not mistaken. I know you can definitely get Sonic Adventure 2 on the Steam. But I remember when this came out, people were kind of disappointed at this game. It received a rating of being kind of a mediocre Sonic game. And when I go through and play it now, I have a hard time getting into it. It feels clunky. It's not really engaging. I don't know. It doesn't really pull me in I think it maybe should, especially for being at that time a launch title for the Dreamcast. But I feel like they did a little bit better with Sonic Adventure 2. So this is interesting in that you can play as either good or dark. So Sonic or what's his name? Knuckles. Yeah, Knuckles is the bad one or the dark one. It's really cool what they did here, and you've got this whole different like two different worlds, two different storylines going on, and the game just has better mechanics, a better feel and vibe to it, more fast-paced action. So if you're looking to start one, I'd probably recommend Sonic Adventure 2 over the first one, but I haven't really beaten the game, so I need to give both of them a little bit more time to see where they go. Here's another fighting game that I actually really enjoy. This is Soul Calibers. This is the original one before all the different iterations and sequels that have come out since. This is just a fun arcade style fighting game. Again, it's a lot like the Virtual Fighter games in that you can knock people out of the ring and you got weapons and stuff like that. But I had a great time playing Soul Calibur and highly recommend picking up a copy of this if you don't have it yet. It should still be relatively inexpensive, but a lot of fun for what you get. Next up, we have a game called Spec Ops 2 Omega Squad. So this came out again around the time where you had a lot of those games, um, not Siphon Filter, but you had those ones where it was like the the action shooting ones on PlayStation. I'm drawing a blank on what the name of them are right now. It's not Medal of Honor. It's not Call of Duty, Soldier of Fortune, or something like that. But this is like trying to compete with that. And honestly, it's not that good of a game. Like I'm running around a map. It looks like something that like maybe was put together in like 1996 with like 1996 technology, and I'm like trying to look down my sniper rifle scope to find an enemy, and everything's kind of like blocky and clunky. It wasn't really fun. It's not a good game at all. But it's one I think I picked up for like $3 several years ago. So I'm like, yeah, $3, I'll take a chance on it. I don't recommend you take a chance on it unless you're either trying to get a complete um, collection of Sega Dreamcast games or you just are looking for something bad to play. Next, we have a game called Sword of the Berserk Guts Rage. Now, this is a fun one in that it's a hack and slash style game, but has storyline elements to it too. So, for example, you're this dude that's trying to resolve some mystery issue going on, try to like uncover things from the past, and you're basically going through the map just hacking and slashing your way through everything with this big gigantic sword that you're carrying. It's a lot of fun. Now, this is a game that I actually picked up in a game store in Albuquerque, New Mexico, of all places, several years ago, and it's since more than doubled in price. It's become highly sought after by a lot of the Dreamcast collectors out there, but it's a fun one. The main character, is a little bit quirky. He's got like an eye that's like closed, and we don't really know why from his backstory. But he doesn't really speak all that much either, so he's kind of got a little bit of mystery with him. But it's a fun one if you haven't played it yet. Next up, a game called The House of the Dead 2. This one is absolutely outstanding. It's a whole lot of fun. You've got basically an on rails sort of shooting game where, arcade shooter, there's zombies coming at you on the screen. You've got to shoot them and not hit the innocent people. Um, the storyline is engaging. The music is great. This is a lot of fun if you play multiplayer with friends. It's really fun to be able to kind of divide and conquer and shoot the enemies on the screen. They have remade these games for the Nintendo Wii, and I believe there's also been more recently a Nintendo Switch port that came out with these games on them as well. But I love playing these on the GameCube. It's still one of my. I'm sorry. I love playing these on the Dreamcast. These are still one of my favorite experiences to play on this console. Next, we have a game called Toy Commander. Now, I want to love this game. I want to love everything about it. The premise is really fun. The game, it reminds me again of Toy Story, just taking on a toy and playing it through the levels. However, I went and played it for this game footage. I just found the controls to be very clunky and the objectives of the game not clearly defined. It's like I didn't know what the heck I was doing, how to advance a level. That's probably just my own user error, and I just spent a little bit more time with it to figure it out. But it's one of those games that I think has a solid premise and again really shows how Dreamcast was trying to push the envelope of what they could do and offer new types of games that haven't been played before. And I really like it for that reason. I have to give it a little bit more time though to see how much more depth is in the game and where else it all goes. But I had a little bit of fun with it when I played it. Next up, we have the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So I said earlier when I talked about Ready to Rumble how Ultimate Fighting at this time wasn't super popular yet. That's very true, but this game, I had a lot of fun playing it. Now, I completely was garbage at it, but it was still pretty fun. Like getting in the squared octagon, the squared circle, kicking, punching. I got my butt kicked so many times in this game. I don't think I won a single match against the opponent, but it's a lot of fun. And I would imagine, too, just the smack talking involved with playing this with a group of buddies, or, you know, we used to do sleepovers playing video games and stuff like that. I imagine it'd be a fun time with the right crowd, even though the game is kind of dated. Next, we have Unreal Tournament. So this is a lot like the Quake 3 Arena game. It's that boomer shooter style game where you're basically running around the map. You've got those, different guns you could frag people with. A lot of fun for the multiplayer aspect. Now, again, similar to Quake 3 Arena, does it hold up today? The controls are a little bit difficult to maneuver, but it is pretty fast-paced action. And for what it was, this is again pre the days of Halo and these other, Call of Duty type of games. This was the way that we were playing multiplayer first-person shooter sort of games. And it was great. It was great fun then. You can have a lot of fun with it today now too. Just it hasn't aged the best, but it's still a lot of fun. And now we have Vigilante 8 Second Offense. This game is very much like Twisted Metal. And dare I say, it was kind of like the answer that they pitched to Twisted Metal. This was not a Dreamcast exclusive. This game also exists on the Nintendo 64 and I believe even PlayStation. But as soon as you boot it up and you start playing around, it's got that car combat vibe going to it. It's got a little bit of a story element mixed in. You can very much tell they're borrowing or they're influenced by Twisted Metal. Now, admittedly, when I go back and think of these types of games, Twisted Metal reigns supreme in my mind. I haven't spent a lot of time with this series, this franchise, so I'm not as familiar with it, but I do know that, Twisted Metal was immensely popular and everyone was trying to copy it and get on that bandwagon success of those games. This is one of those attempts as well. Still a lot of fun, but I think Twisted Metal is probably a little bit better. So the Dreamcast was also known for having a lot of sports titles. And one of the ones that performed really well on the Dreamcast, Virtua Tennis. Now, admittedly, I think games like this, I'm not very good at. I'd rather play like a Mario Tennis sort of game, but this is more of your realistic play on tennis, spin on tennis, pun intended. But yeah, a lot of people love playing this game. I'm not too good at it, but eh. Then we have Worms Armageddon. So I've never played a Worms game before. I played a little bit of this to capture the game footage. And at first I was kind of like, what the heck am I supposed to do? A little bit confused. But as I started playing more of it, it started to make more sense to me. So I'm looking forward to going back and playing this more and experiencing Worms. I do have Worms on other consoles like the Evercade. I think I even have it on PlayStation or Xbox. Um, I know a lot of people love Worms, so I'm looking forward to diving a little bit deeper into that series of games too and seeing what it's all about. And then we have a game called Zombies Revenge. So this is also a um, shooter type game, a light gun rail type of shooter where the zombies appear on the screen. You have to shoot at them, but also too, it's interesting in that it has elements to it, kind of like Resident Evil 2, where you're running around and you're able to like point your gun at them and aim and all sorts of stuff. So it's very different take on the survival horror genre and a zombie shooter type of game. But I enjoyed the bit that I played of it and looking forward to experiencing some more of that game as well. Okay, so there you have it. That's my 46 games I currently own for the Sega Dreamcast. I'm still working on actively collecting for that console. My hope is to one day own a complete set of all the Dreamcast games. I've kind of put that on the back burner the last few years. I've been leveling up in other consoles and doing other things, but I do hope to one day get back to that ambition that I have as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.